Alright, just got back from my 12-mile run. Didn't impress me any, but didn't disappoint. It was pretty much what I expected after actually being 3 or Saturdays off. So this is what we look like. Alright, recovery time was only 40 hours. Nice. Less than 2 days. We'll be back to running on Monday. So 12.15 miles, and I averaged an 8:38 pace. I went out on a heart rate about 155. We'll go over that here after we weigh in and shower and everything. Achievements. Oh wow, I dropped even more. Lovely. But again, remember, I went into today's run fatigued because I wasn't fully recovered. But we'll get that back. I'm not too worried. Oh yeah, something else I want to show you before we stop. We always talked about steps. For those people who get into that 10,000 steps a minute, 10,000 steps a day thing, as you can see, today's run, I've just about doubled that. So it's 10 minutes to 7 right now, and I've almost doubled my 10,000 step limit for those people that kind of follow that thing. So anyhow, let's get a shower. Actually, let's go weigh in, and we'll take it from there. Turn our scale on here. Alright, let's see where we're at since we haven't weighed in 3 Saturdays. Okay, not too bad, 157.4. Okay, it says my BMI is 23.9, body fat is 8.5%, water is 66.8%, muscle mass is 65.3 pounds, bone mass is 10.6 pounds, and that's my total body weight. Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome back. Today completes week 4 of the marathon training program. You saw this morning when I came back, I completed 12.15 miles at about 8.5 minute pace. You saw also my VO2 max dropped another point. Not too worried about that because as we know from Thursday's video that Thursday's run was going to require a 3-day recovery. Well, Saturday's only 2 days from that, so I was less than recovered for this morning's run, which is fine. It happens. It has a training effect all of its own, but needless to say, that explains why that happened. For those who are questioning, I know we talked about on Thursday whether or not I was going to run on Friday after the gym. After looking at my watch after my gym workout, which I only go 3 days a week, my watch said that I needed 53 hours of recovery time. Well, I didn't exactly have 53 hours of recovery time, and so I sure didn't want to go bother running down the street even 2 miles just to add to that recovery time. I wasn't going to bother with that. Because even though, yes, we read a lot of things and it says, oh, you know, sometimes after a hard run, you want to do an easy run the next day. Yeah, I understand that, but the purpose behind that is just to kind of flush out some of the lactate in your muscles and get the blood flowing through them again. That's really kind of the purpose of those. But for all practical purposes for myself, my concern was heart rate recovery. And so I didn't want to add to those hours or those days. So I didn't run on Friday. Anyhow, so running today, even though technically I was still a whole day in the hole as far as heart rate recovery, that's why VO2 max dropped. And I'm okay with that. However, you noticed that when I came back, I only needed 40 hours to recover from my 12-mile run. So clearly, although it was the longest run of the week, it definitely had, by volume, it definitely had the least amount of impact when you think about the 7-mile run I did on Thursday, which required 3 days. You might remember that one-off video I sent on Monday where I only did 4 miles, and even that one was asking for like 36 hours of recovery. 36 hours on 4 miles, and now I ran 12, and I only need 40 hours of recovery. So you could see, and you can go back and watch those videos, you could see that clearly the rebound is taking place. So, you know, if you ever have time where, or if you ever have a situation, life situation where you need to take time off running or time off training, you could see firsthand from the way it's come back for me how quickly you can bounce back. So rest assured, don't worry too much about that. Now, this morning, normally, as you know, we normally do shotted wheatgrass. Well, Thursday was my last of my wheatgrass. I've got more seed growing. I needed to order more seed, so there was an overlap and all that. And so I wasn't too concerned with that. However, something I do like to do a lot during my long runs, and I found this a few years ago. It's called Rock and Refuel. It's by Shamrock Farms. I see if you can see that. I don't know if you guys have Shamrock dairy farms out where you guys live. I don't know if they're national, if they're just local. But anyhow, I came across this a few years ago, and I used to get this at Winco for about $1 a piece. Now, for $1 a piece, I was okay with it. But of course, over time, they've gone up, and now they're like $1.50 or so. And while some might be thinking, "What's the big deal?" It's high protein chocolate milk. That's really all it is. So, and no, I don't go through enough chocolate milk to buy the gallon jug of it. So I've made my own version of this. So it gives me, my version gives me the same amount of carbs, same amount of sugar, same amount of protein, but I already own the milk. So not too bad there. So if you want the recipe, let me know. I'll go ahead and send it over to you. But you can see, I mean, pretty simple. Just high protein, my own high protein chocolate milk. Ooh, cold, sweet, and chocolatey. Now that's something worth coming back to after a long run. But don't want to get carried away drinking all that. Today's going to be short. I'm just going to kind of give you a recap on how my run went. I'm not going to compare this run with anything else because in an apples-to-apples sort of way, my last run was three weekends ago, May 27th. And on that run I did 16. And so I'd have to go back one more run to find another 12. But I'm not going to worry about that. What I will do is in 2 weeks from now, then we can kind of compare how I've progressed and bounced back and things like that. So next weekend I'll do 16, and 2 weeks from now I'll do 12. And so in 2 weeks from now I'll compare this run with that run, so you can kind of see exactly where I was at and exactly how well things have bounced back. Anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look at our numbers. And you can see the 12.15 miles. This morning I spent 1 hour and 45 minutes running that, and I averaged out an 8:38 pace. And I spent 1,300 calories, all before breakfast. So we're good there. Today's weather per Garmin says it was 72. And for the most part, I kept the pace pretty flat. For a couple times, I don't remember exactly what happened during the course. Maybe I crossed streets or whatever, the pace dropped a little bit. An interesting thing, when I'm doing a heart rate run, sometimes it's really hard to keep the heart rate steady because you have to always look at it. So whether it's a barking dog or a cyclist passing me by, anything could quickly spike up your heart rate, or maybe the music I'm listening to. Those things can spike up the heart rate, and then of course you have to bring it back down. So this at least gives you an idea as to why my heart rate looks more like a mountain range instead of nice and smooth when I'm running this pace runs. Now this morning my chest strap was nice and wet, so you can see there's no early morning spike with that. Nice there. And on my stride, because outside of a couple spots, outside of that my stride was really constant at about 178, if not lower. So my legs were definitely comfortable. They were warmed up. They were relaxed. So the pace itself wasn't really putting a strain on my legs, and you could see my stride was nice and long. Now in short here, we look at my average. We'll look at my average pace, my warm-up mile. You can see here for the first 6 miles. Again, based on my heart rate. Based on my heart rate here, I'm averaging about 155. The first 6 miles I was able to keep it about 830. And then of course after that, starting with mile 7, then things kind of went downhill from there. Which one's this? Mile 9. Basically between mile 8 and mile 9, you can see that's where I lost my 130 range. And this is why sometimes more moderate, longer runs during the week help out. Because Thursday is my longest run before my long run. So Thursday is my 7-mile run. And so you can see here, for basically
for the first 7 miles, my body has it down pretty comfortably because my body's already adapted to running 7 miles on some sort of frequent basis. And then of course when we extend beyond that, that comes down to be it fuel reserves or just your overall your body's ability to constantly deliver the goods over an extended period of time. Can I say fuel reserves were an issue? No, I can't really say that because I fueled up. I planned to do something a little different with my run until I realized that it's been 3 weeks since I ran, so I decided to just keep a steady heart rate. But I think it really just comes down to your body's ability to constantly deliver the goods over time. But again, that's something else that will bounce back. But most importantly, I was able to keep my heart rate nice and steady, so I'm certainly happy with that. And outside of, again, be it dog barking or someone on a cycle pass, because I run on a jogging path along the canals here in Phoenix, and so sometimes there's cyclists, or maybe the music just gets me going and I'm picking up the pace for whatever reason. So you can see my maximum heart rate was pretty close to my average, so I'm happy there. And I'm not going to get into stride because there's nothing, this is definitely the 1 meter easy stride. But here, something else I want to point out too was my peak calorie mile was mile 6. Mile 6, that's when I averaged 157, which was close to one of my higher averages. And then after that, you can see things started coming down. 98, that's some sort of weirdo flub, because you can see here my pace were really consistent. Even my average moving pace was really consistent. So why did this thing drop 7 points? I don't know. But needless to say, yes, as my body gets more adapting to the long run, even though my pace is slowing down, you might think I would be spending more calories per mile because I'm spending more time running each mile. But needless to say, that doesn't seem to be the case, so my body's adapting nicely. So not bad there. And then real quick on our stats, you can see today's run, again, because I came into this kind of pre-exhausted, was a 4.1. It should have been more about a 3, but a 4.1. At least I'm highly improving. I'm definitely not in the 5 range because your heart's not going to play nice if you're in the 5 range every time you go out and run. Ideally, maybe somewhere in the 3 range would be more ideal, and that I should be there next week. Now, next week, be it a 16-mile run, all goes well, I should still be within a 48-hour recovery time. So that should not change any. So that's always a good thing. But I think next week also, I'm going to do the same run, kind of like the 155 heart rate run, and we'll see at least from that run whether or not my training effect had lowered, as well as whether or not I was able to increase my pace while keeping my heart rate at the 155 range. So we'll kind of look for that as well. Anyhow, that's all I have for you today. Again, trying to keep this short for you. Be sure to like the video if you like the video. Be certain to subscribe if this is your first time watching. And then, of course, as always, feel free to leave your questions and comments below. And again, if you want the recipe I've come up with for your own, basically, muscle milk, homemade chocolate muscle milk, let me know. I'll be happy to send that to you. Anyhow, you guys have yourself a great weekend, and I'll see you next time. Take care.